So today we want to look at the most important area of mathematics. Remember, mathematics is the language that we speak in science. And for you to understand any language very well, you need to understand the alphabet. And the alphabet of mathematics is number. And that is why we want to look at the concept of number into this class. Speaking of numbers, all numbers are imaginary numbers except the real numbers. And the real numbers are those numbers that you can plot on a number line, while imaginary numbers are numbers that you cannot plot on a number line, and they are sometimes referred to as complex number. Now we're going to discuss about them at the end of this class, but let's start with the real numbers because they are the most numbers that we deal with in mathematics. So let's get started. The very first type of real numbers that we are going to be considering is what we refer to as natural number. Now, when you talk about natural numbers, they are numbers that we use in counting. And that's the reason why whenever they ask you to count, you always start from 1. Because 1 is the first digit that you're going to find in natural number. So, when we have natural number, we denote it with capital letter N. So when somebody is discussing to you and they tell you that some numbers belongs to set of N, what they are saying is that those numbers belongs to set of natural number. That is, they are natural numbers. And N is equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on like that. What does this mean? This simply means that all numbers that we have in this set, they are natural numbers. And the smallest natural number is 1, but there is no biggest natural number because natural number ranges from 1 to infinity. However, another thing you need to know about natural number is that they are divided into 2. 1, we have what we call prime number. And we have what we call composite numbers. What does that mean? Any number that is not prime number is going to be a composite number, and any number that is a composite number cannot be a prime number. Now, what are prime numbers? Let's start from there. Prime numbers are those numbers that can only be divided by 1 and itself. When a number can only be divided by 1 and itself, that number is said to be a prime number. Now, let's look at the example of that. When you have 1 can only be divided by itself. There's no any other number. So 1 cannot be a prime number because it has just a single factor. And all prime number, they always have 2 factor, 1 and itself. But 1 only have itself. For that reason, 1 is not a prime number. Now for 2, is 2 a prime number? Let's check. 1 can divide 2 and 2 can divide itself, and there's no any other number that can do that again. That means 2 is a prime number. Is 3 a prime number? Yes, because 3 can only be divided by 1 and itself. There's no any other numbers that can divide 3. That simply means that 3 is also a prime number. Is 4 a prime number? Let's check. 4 can be divided by 1, can be divided by 2, can be divided by itself. That means 4 is a composite number because composite numbers are numbers that can be divided by more than 1 and itself. That is, they have more than 2 factors. That's composite number. So is 5 going to be a prime number or composite number? Let's know in the comment section. So that's that about natural numbers. They are prime and also what? Composite number. So for prime numbers, the smallest prime number is 2 and is the only even number that is a prime number. I hope you got this now. Now, we all borrow something from someone. We all got broke. That is, it's possible for you to have something now and it's possible for you not to have that thing again. If you don't have it again, how do you represent it with number? That is why we have another development of numbers that we refer to as whole number, because natural number does not include 0. So there's nothing for us to represent nothing in mathematics. And that's why we have another set of number called whole numbers. Speaking of whole numbers are sets of natural numbers including 0. That is, if you are given set of natural number and a 0 is included, that set has become the set of whole numbers, and whole numbers are denoted with W. When you see that some numbers belong to set of W, what they are telling you is that those numbers are whole numbers, or that number is an whole number. So we have W to equal to set of 0, 1, 2, 3 till infinity. What does that simply mean? That means the smallest whole number is 0, and there is no highest whole number because it ranges to infinity. Now, when you look at this now, natural number is part of whole number because natural number started from what? 1, 2, 3 till infinity. And whole number start from where? 0. There is no negative whole number. Are you getting it now? We only have positive whole numbers. Are we getting that now? Now, we have been able to see a number to represent nothing. Now, you get to borrow something from someone. That means you are owing that person. You are in deficit. However, how do we represent that in mathematics? And that's why we have another set of number called integer. Speaking of integers, integers are sets of whole numbers including their negatives. What does that mean? That simply means that natural numbers, whole numbers, they all belongs to sets of integers including their negatives. That means if I have an integer, I can either represent it with Z or I represent it with I. So whenever you see Z or you see I, that simply means that numbers or those numbers, they are integer. And set of integer include negative from somewhere, -3, -2, -1, 0, 1, 2, and that's till infinity. What does that simply mean? That simply means that we don't have the smallest integers and we don't have the highest integers, because integers ranges from negative infinity to positive infinity. If that is clear, that simply means that now we have the entire number figured out. However, there are some times that they are going to give you one orange and they will ask you to share it within yourself and your friends, or they ask you to share it within you and your sister. How do you do that? How do you represent that? With numbers. That's why we have another set of numbers called rational numbers. Speaking of rational numbers, these are numbers that you can write in the form P divided by Q such that Q is not equal to 0. That is, any number that you can write as P divided by Q such that Q is not 0. Such a number is called rational numbers. Now, how do we denote them? Remember, when we talk about natural numbers, we denote them with capital letter N. When we talk about whole number, capital letter W. When we talk about integers, capital letter I. So, you guess right if you have said capital letter R. But that's a mistake because rational numbers are denoted with capital letter Q. You can denote real numbers with capital letter R. I hope you get that clear. Don't make such a mistake. So, capital letter Q is equal to 1/2, 2/3, 0, 1, 2, and so on like that. Now, what does that mean? That simply means that any number on earth, irrespective of the size or whatever it is, as long as you can write it as P divided by Q and Q is not 0, that number is a rational number. Now, if you wonder why we have 1, 2, and so on like that, this is because 1 can be written as 1 divided by 1. 2 can be written as 2 divided by 1, and so on like that. That's why natural numbers, whole numbers, integers, they all belong to sets of rational numbers. Now, there's something else you need to know about rational numbers because they are divided into 2. 1, we have terminating decimals. Terminating decimal. And we have what? Non-terminating decimal. Non-terminating decimal. Now, people usually call this non-terminating decimal, or they call it recurring decimal. But if I will say, I will call it non-terminating recurring decimal. Why is it like that? This is because we have another type of numbers that it is non-terminating decimal. However, its own is not recurring. So, For you to differentiate between those numbers, that's why I will call this one non-terminating recurring decimal. Instead of either calling it non-terminating decimal or you call it recurring decimal, for clarity, you call it what? Non-terminating recurring decimal. I hope you get that now. Good. So when you talk about terminating decimals, we have 1 over 2. This is 0.5. We have 1 over 4. This is 0.25. So these are examples of terminating decimals. The decimals stop at a point. But if I have a number like 4 divided by 3, this is 1.333333 till infinity. Why? Because the decimal is non-terminating recurring. The same number keep repeating itself. Now, for GCSE students or A-level students, if you have an answer that is non-terminating recurring decimal, how do you present it? You don't write it as 1.3 . No. For you to get your answer accurately well, because this is going to get you B0 instead of B1. So what are you supposed to do? You are going to write at least 2 of the number that is repeating. That means 1.33. Then you can now put your dot. This now we understand that this number is repeating itself. You can either put 2 dots or you put 3 dots. But it's wise for you to put 3. But the dot's supposed to be at least 2. So you must not put 1 dot. You can either put 2 dots or you put 3 dots. Do you get that now? Good. However, if you don't want to write it like this, you can as well write it as 1.33. Then you put bar on top of this 3. Instead of the dot, you just put bar on top of the 3. That tells the examiner that this number is repeating itself. Do you get that now? Now, there are some non-terminating recurring decimals that you are not going to notice that they are non-terminating recurring. For example, if I have a number like 1.235, if you don't look carefully, you will not see that 235 keep repeating. So how do you present this kind of answer? You present it by saying 235 bar. Do you get that now? You put bar on top of this. What does that mean? That simply means that this 235 keep repeating itself. You're not going to write 1.235 and put a bar on it. Remember, we said you must write at least 2 of those numbers that are repeating. That's why we have this to be the right representation of these recurring decimals. I hope you understand this now. So let's look at the next type of number that we refer to as irrational numbers. Speaking of irrational numbers, when you talk about irrational numbers, they are numbers that cannot be expressed in the form P divided by Q, even when Q is not 0. You cannot represent them in that format. What does that mean? That means any number that you cannot write as P divided by Q, that number is called irrational number. Now, what do we use to denote irrational numbers? Should we use letter I? Obviously no. We denote it with Q star. So when you see Q star, what does that mean? That implies irrational numbers. And we have something like square root of 2, square root of 2, square root of 3. We have pi, we have exponential, and the list goes on. So all sorts, they are referred to as irrational numbers because they are numbers with non-terminating nor recurring decimals. That is, their decimal does not terminate. At the same time, it's not repeating. That kind of a number is referred to as irrational. So if you press square root of 2, the decimal continues and is not repeating. When you click on square root of 3, the same thing happens. Pi, the same thing. But I have something to say about pi, because we always see that sometimes examiner will say take pi as 22 divided by 7. Is this not a fraction? Yes, it is a fraction, but this value is not exactly pi. But because this value is equivalent to pi if you approximate to 2 decimal places, that's why when accuracy is not needed, the examiner asks you to take pi as 22 over 7. When accuracy is needed in the question, the examiner will say express your answer in terms of pi. Do you get that now? Or they give you the pi in decimal value when accuracy is needed. But when accuracy is not needed, we just need an estimated value. We tell you to take the value of pi as 22/7. That does not make pi to become irrational numbers. Are you understand that now? Oh, sorry for that English. Do you understand that now? Good. Now that you understand this now, we can now move to another area of numbers that we refer to as complex number. Speaking of complex number, these are numbers whose square is equal to negative. That is, any number that you take the square and your result is negative, that number is a complex number. Now let's look at it. What does that mean? If I have that x squared is equal to negative something, x squared equal negative something, either -4, -1, -2, -3. As long as the answer is negative after you square that number, that simply means that that number is nothing but a complex number. It is an imaginary number. Now let's prove it. If I have that x is equal to square root of -4, if you press your calculator for square root of -4, you tend to have what we call syntax error or math error. That's because your calculator does not understand complex number. Your calculator understands real numbers. That is, for us to solve this now, we can say x is the same thing as saying square root of 4 multiplied by square root of -1. If you do this, if you press your calculator for square root of 4, you definitely get that your answer is 2. That simply means that 4 is not having the problem, but the negative. Because if you press square root of -1 now, you will have syntax error or math error. So how do we do that? We say, let the square root of -1 equal I. So if the square root of -1 equal I, for engineering students, you can see it to be J. So either J or I, we are still referring to the square root of -1. That simply means that x is equal to 2i. Do you get that now? Now, if I square this now, let's say I square both sides now. Remember the definition of complex number. We say any number whose square gives us negative is said to be a complex number. So for x now to be a complex number, if we square both sides, are we going to have a negative result? Let's check. So x squared is equal to 2i squared. And what does this mean? This simply means that x squared is equal to 2 squared multiplied by I squared. So this is going to be x squared equal 4 multiplied by I squared. Remember, I is what? The square root of -1. That means I squared is square root of -1. So if you square the square root of -1, this square is going to cancel the square root, and you're going to have what? -1. So by the time you multiply these two together, your result is going to be x squared equal -4. Since x squared equal -4, that means x itself is a complex number. So any number that you have that its square gives you negative is a complex number. I hope you understand this now. Now, for you to download the notes for this particular lecture, you can go to www.mathfeetutor.com, or you check the description part of this video so that you can find the link to download this there. And if you need help with your assignment or you have a complex question to solve, you can as well get help from the help section of that particular website. I'll be glad to help you. Do well to like this video and don't forget to share among your friends. See you guys on the next one.